The name that has been causing noise and commotion in the UFC for 3 years now, instilling fear in opponents' hearts and rapidly climbing to the top of the world's leading fighting organization, is none other than Chechen Wolf Khamzat Chamaev, known as Boars. Due to effective finishes with his superior wrestling skills and confident personality, Khamzat has become one of the most indispensable faces of the UFC. Khamzat has incredible capabilities in finishing opponents quickly. In his first fights for the UFC, he tore through his opponents with submissions and ground and pound, already in the first rounds, and all that without receiving any damage. After that, we got to the moments where we could see Khamzat being pushed to his limits and forced to show holes in his game in 2 decision fights. It was a battle with former champion Kamaru Usman and a 15-minute war with Gilbert Burns, which revealed that Khamzat struggled with other ground specialists that are also proficient with striking. Regardless of his incredible 13-fight winning streak and a recent decision win against former welterweight champion Usman, who stepped in as a replacement for the injured Paulo Costa just 10 days before the event, one question remains: how good a fighter is Khamzat Chamaev really? So let's go see the bigger picture together and look at his advantages and disadvantages. When we think of Khamzat's fighting style, we probably all think of his wrestling first, so we'll take that as a starting point. Khamzat has been wrestling since he was 5, and he's a multiple gold medal winner in national Swedish competitions in freestyle wrestling, displaying his dominance in wrestling across the country. In addition, he's a physically strong individual. His capabilities and strength have allowed him not only to swiftly neutralize most of his opponents, but also to play with them. It also helped him preserve his brain cells and take almost no hits in the first UFC fights. Still, it is proven not to be invincible, but it is efficient. The downside is that Khamzat pushes it so hard that he tires in the first round, but the quality of his wrestling is the least debatable point. Kevin Holland, Li Jingliang, and Rhys McKee are the victims broken by his wrestling skills in a matter of seconds. Considering his origin, it is nothing strange. Khamzat wrestled both in Chechen Republic as well as Sweden, and he's no stranger to sambo and judo competitions. His wrestling style is forceful and persistent, and when he takes you down, Khamzat can certainly keep you down. As for comparing Khamzat's wrestling with Islam Makhachev and Khabib Nurmagomedov, of course, it is not on the same level. In their performances, the Dagestani fighters showed their entire arsenal with trips, sweeps, throws, takedowns, applying pressure, and deep comprehension of controlling position. Some people will say his wrestling isn't that good because he couldn't finish Burns and Usman quickly. But considering they're both top grapplers and top 5 fighters, it's understandable that he fell short on a submission finish. Let's remember that Chamaev's first wrestling test was to be given by Gerald Meerschaert as a BJJ black belt, but Chamaev proved that he was not only a violent wrestler, but also a heavy puncher, which brings us to the next point. It didn't even take 20 seconds for him to snipe Gerald down to end the match, in which he showed possession of one-punch power and accuracy. But it was not a complete display of Chamaev's striking. We can see the true ratio in the fights against Burns and Usman. Although we weren't aware of his striking capabilities, Khamzat was. He was so determined to prove that point that he almost didn't try to constantly out-wrestle Burns. Well, technically he tried, and he succeeded, but as we said, Burns is a tough nut to crack in the grappling department. He certainly showed that he's not afraid to take a hit. The tendency to get into exchanges does not seem intelligent, but it is attractive and must be respected. His striking style is characterized by sharp jabs, beautiful uppercuts, a few low and kind of lazy front kicks, and he does not forget to rip the body with punching techniques. Khamzat's firm but mobile body movements show he is always ready to take and give blows, and always ready to shoot for a takedown. Speaking of receiving punches, Burns rocked him, knocked him down, and overtook him in significant strikes, and it was close with Usman as well. But that could be attributed to his early exhaustion from wrestling and a desire to repeatedly pressure his opponent. Indeed, his striking is not perfect, but it is very good, with a lot of room for improvement. And if we take into account Khamzat's age and willingness to train, we can expect an even better version in the future. Khamzat is no stranger to multiple training sessions per day, as he's known for his dedication and persistence. Constantly working and training, he's everything hard work promises. Khamzat strives to bring himself to the highest physical condition. Immigrant life was never easy, and Khamzat Chamaev knows that firsthand. Traveling from Chechnya to Sweden due to war circumstances must have been a painful experience. Luck played no part in his upbringing. He worked his way up through hunger and adversity, but tough times make tough men, as they say, and Khamzat shaped his mentality according to his past experiences, giving birth to the hardest working man in the gym, and therefore an absolute beast in the cage. But the cruel life did not kill his kind and humble side, especially towards the kids. Wearing a smile most of the time, Khamzat, being a Muslim, says his faith was always his compass in good and bad times, and something he would die for. In the octagon, it is not a different story. Live by the sword, die by the sword. We did not see Khamzat showing signs of giving up, still taunting his opponents even when he bathes in his own blood. Like the fight with Gilbert showed, he went through some challenging exchanges, but his face at the end says it all. Chamaev does not seem like a fake persona, but rather confident and proud. Hunger and love for the fighting are what drive Khamzat to his limits, working with it as his fuel on his way to the top. Still though, Boers has not gone through all the trials that the life of a fighter has to offer. It would be interesting to see him lose, how he would act, how he would deal with it, and even more, how he would come back from it. Well, since he's a middleweight now, we all know what kind of negative things division change can bring, but sometimes benefits too. His overall story is inspiring. Hopefully he will achieve great things on his journey. Whatever happens, no doubt Khamzat Chamaev can handle it. It will be a privilege to see how his story works out. Looking at the current title picture, we can see Khamzat in the center of it, per Dana White's words. A rather unfair decision towards the rest of the middleweights in the UFC, but the hype is still real. He is a superstar after all. Let us not act like we are not used to the way things go in this business. The Sean Strickland fight would have the highest percentage of happening right now. Interesting matchup, probably a brawl, and 100% chaos at the press conferences and interviews. It would be good to see if Sean could defend the takedown, since we have not seen him wrestle for a while. On the other hand, he may cause significant problems in the punching section for the Chechen. Although looking at certain comments, Khamzat will need to go prove some things again, as he left some doubts. Not being able to finish short notice Usman, gassing himself up again early, not to mention being almost outboxed by Kamaru. Awaking the question of how he would handle the power of healthy and prepared Paulo Costa, other middleweights as well. It would definitely be a fun fight to see. The tensions and bad blood between them are real, but at this point it could be a passing train. Another option could be Robert Whittaker, who would be happy to earn a title shot by beating a superstar. The Reaper wouldn't mind keeping Chamaev around in the middleweight division. No doubt, Dricus du Plessis would love to get vengeance for being double-crossed after Izzy left the championship picture. One thing is for sure, whatever happens, it has the potential to be wild. Now everybody wants to derail Boers. Khamzat, being Khamzat, would not mind getting another victim soon, whether it's the title holder or not. Knowing he will eventually arrive there, he only wants to fight and get a 7-digit paycheck, maybe cause some mayhem along the way. Hopefully his health will serve him well so that he may fight soon, and his injuries will be far behind him. A fan or not, you know you want to see him in the cage as soon as possible. Based on his insane work ethic, he's only going to get better. Khamzat certainly received many experience points after successfully battling the Nigerian ex-welterweight king and surviving the siege of Durable Dorino. Listening to his coaches would be wise, as they know what is best for him, and saving energy at the beginning of the match seems like a smart decision. With much time left to work and holes to be patched, Khamzat is a fighter with immense potential who is just 29 years old and with a championship mentality. No doubt we will soon see him there.